Ready? We'll bring this Public Works Committee meeting to order. This meeting was posted as required by state law. Everybody's here except our new supervisor, Nick, who's excused for the day. And we'll stand for a silent prayer and a pledge of allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, starting out, did everybody review the last minutes? Anybody have any corrections or adjustments to make? Seeing none, I'll mark those approved as noted. Okay, we're gonna juggle things around a little bit, but we will start with a facilities quarterly report. Kara, you're up.
Hello, how are you?
I'm good. Yourself?
I'm doing really well, thanks.
Good.
So with regards to the report, I want to jump to the second page of the report and just highlight that the majority of the time that my department is spending on these initiatives is with regards to the campus master plan. So we are the Fuel Island relocation is underway. I don't know if you've had an opportunity to drive by the highway shop, but it's coming along very nicely. You can take a look. The canopy went up this week, and we've worked through a couple of little challenges, but overall it's going very well. And we expect to have the Fuel Island relocated in just a couple of weeks in September.
Do you foresee any issues with contamination in the existing site, or keep fingers crossed? Sounds good.
We don't expect anything, but
Sure.
I mean, it's
You never know,
Yeah.
right?
right.
Okay, thank you.
Our east parking lot remodel starts next week. And the internal remodel here will be starting this fall as well. So we're doing a lot of prep work with that, and it's taking quite a bit of our time. In addition to that, we've got a lot of tie-ins with other projects, such as signage, exterior and interior, cart access. We're also working through things with the UW transition and also even the relocation of the UW extension. So a ton of our time is just built into all of those projects that have a lot of tie-in to our master plan.
Moving departments around.
Yeah,
Ready.
eventually, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So any questions you have about that project?
I don't, anybody else? Well, we're good.
No. Okay, I'm gonna jump then to the next one, or to the last page. I think this is in your package with the building automation, which is part of our master plan. And I marked this as complete yesterday, but it actually completed today. So we are glad to wipe that one off of our plate for now. So that's all good.
Sounds good.
And then the other two open projects that we have on here are the safety team one, and we also have improved customer feedback, our key performance indicator scores. With regards to the safety team, we do have a team created, but they've kind of stalled out, and I need to get that going again. I expect by the end of the year we will have a good program in place, but the team itself has stalled a little bit. And then the key performance indicator scores, right now we're tracking on the implementation of a process improvement. And that one is at risk right now. We're kind of stalled out on documentation regarding that. So I'm going to need to get that back on track as well.
I assume the stall is because you're moving everything around for
Yeah.
remodeling and you got your hands full.
A little bit, yeah. Yeah.
Understood. Any other questions? Seeing none, we're good.
Great, thanks.
Thank you. Okay, now we're gonna jump to County Highway Q access appeal. Do I need a motion in a second? Yes, I will need a motion in a second. Motion from Supervisor McCulick, second from Supervisor Hartwig. Scott, you got the floor.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. And Kayla, I am number 5 on the list. I just want to point out a couple different things. First, I want to get you orientated where this is in the county. The property, the subject property is actually not in our county. It's on the south side of County Line Road or County Highway Q. Up on the screen, you'll see State Highway 164, the newer Quick Trip in the lower left-hand corner, Cemetery upper left corner, a strip mall, if you will, on the lower right corner or southeast corner of the intersection. The property we're talking about is this larger parcel over here to the west of the Quick Trip and south of the Quick Trip. The County Line Road is split up into jurisdictions, if you may recall. There's a segments that we actually maintain and we actually control the access on both sides of those roadways. There's also sections that Waukesha County maintains as well as controls access on both sides of the roadway. So this happens to be one of those segments that Washington County, even though the property and the access is in Waukesha County, we control the access through that corridor in this particular area. And that's why I guess your question about why we worried about access down in Waukesha County, that is why we are looking at the Waukesha County portion of the site. And what we're looking at specifically doing is, if you looked at there's a rather long driveway on the left-hand side. Your access control policy allows one access per parcel. So obviously rather large parcel, and that one access is in the far west side of that parcel. And if you remember the other screen that was up, it was two homes that were serviced by that longer driveway, as well as the farm field that's there. And it's hard to believe, but there are two homes back in that corner. And so what they're looking at doing, again, just gonna get back to the right screen, is subdividing that parcel over here to have a common access for these 2 3-acre parcels. And that 66-foot access easement would remain for the two homes, as well as access for the farmer to gain access to the field to keep plowing that. What they're looking at doing is putting up some business condos as well as potentially some storage units. And so the next page that's in your packet is what that potentially look like. The applicant put a great presentation together. This is the Quick Trip driveway. We would ask them to extend that center turn lane further to the west. So this is the top is the current condition. The bottom would be proposed. And what you do is extending that middle lane, so that turn lane would be there, and then turn lanes into the property. So a very similar or almost exact access as what is going into Quick Trip. That way, we don't have to, the traffic that's in the westbound lane can stay in the current westbound lane. You don't have to have a bypass lane, all that kind of stuff. And we're appreciative that the developer was willing to look at that as an option, obviously, versus putting a turn lane in that would then move traffic, as well as then potentially get the road closer to the person that lives on the north side of the road right there. And so we do have some stipulations inside the report that we'd be looking at, as well as your recommendation to adhere to that, no further access points. They already have 2, so that's one more than allowable. And then some making sure we're getting the right certified survey map, the dedication of right of way, engineering plans, all that kind of stuff. So we didn't want them to go through and do all the engineering plans and spend all that money if the committee decided not to grant the access. So we'd review that as staff and to make sure that it all meets standards, just like we did with Quick Trip was in a couple of years ago now, I believe it was. So that the Highway Department's recommending that the Public Works Committee approve this with the conditions that are listed inside the report, and happy to answer any questions that you may have.
My only question is, obviously you don't have any concerns with this then, right? As far
Correct.
as their site visibility is good
Yes,
and
site
everything.
visibility is good. We're working with the, I'll call it the developer in the room right now, is appreciative that he was able to meet with us in person. It's a lot better than going through emails back and forth. I appreciate him coming to our office and talking us through with him and coming up with a solution that was workable for both us and for him. So we appreciate that immensely. So yes, it meets all of our standards. It's a semi-urban section. It's a lower speed limit in that section. We will be reconstructing County Highway Q. I think it's in 2031 maybe or so. So we do have some plans for that stretch roadway. So we're not increasing the speed limit when we do that either.
Sure.
So
Okay. Any other questions on this? Well, that's pretty easy. All approved with the qualifications that Scott put on here. Say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries.
thank you.
Very good. Thank you. Now we will, let's see, scrambling up, we're on 3. We'll move into 2025 resolution authorizing Washington County Information Technology Department, for the town of Trenton. I need a motion and a second. Motion by Supervisor Vispalek, second by Supervisor Hartwig. The floor is yours.
Otherwise, it's up on your screen.
All right, good afternoon, everyone. As a refresher, I'm Eric Messa from County IT. So, yeah, we're continuing to progress with the onboarding of IT shared service municipalities. Town of Trenton, we met with them this month to present the services we had to offer, and we're able to provide, and they sounded very enthusiastic, so that's good. So at this point, we're ready to move forward. They are smaller, so I think they're easier to onboard and take under our umbrella of IT shared services. So
Okay, sounds good. And obviously you'll stay there for the next one then
Sure.
too. Does anybody have any questions? I mean, obviously we went through these a few times. Chairman Schleif.
I don't have a question, but I noticed in the resolution, line 42 on page 1, it says the Washington Executive and it should be Washington County Executive. So just a typo. I believe it's the same in the next resolution as well.
Just a typo? You have noted that?
Thank you.
Okay. Anybody have any questions? Seeing none, we'll vote on the modified line there. All approved, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? And that motion carries. And now I need a motion and a second for a resolution for the same thing for the town of Hartford. That'd be motion or resolution G. So Supervisor McCulick, a second, Supervisor Vispalek, and the floors are yours again.
sure, yeah, this one's kind of in the same boat. It's a smaller municipality, couple users, couple computers. This will be number 9, putting us on the list for IT shared service municipalities. And after that, I think we are pretty much at our, I guess, capacity for maintaining the level of service that we've been providing. So,
Okay. So if any more come in the future, we might have to rethink.
yes, reevaluate at that time. Yeah.
Okay. Any other questions from anybody?
That brings up a point. How many more possibles are out there?
Total, there were 19, I believe. So this will put us
We're like
halfway point. Yeah.
halfway. So
Yeah.
at some point in the near future, if we bring any more, we're gonna need to look at granted service or what.
Yeah, so to answer this, we have talked to Village of Richfield. We're in talks with them. We're gonna actually go out there, I think it's next week, to meet with them to discuss future services. We do have interest from the Village of Germantown. There's future interest, maybe not in the next year or two, but from Village of Jackson possibly. So, but immediate interest, we have Village of Richfield and Village of Germantown, which are larger. So at that point, I may ask for more resources. But yeah, I think this, like Eric said, this would tap us out at our resources right now.
Is that something that we have figured in the budget then?
Not currently, but
Okay.
it is one thing that we've been working with the executive teams on as well, and they are aware of that. And as Dr. Joel Whopper pointed out, even though we're at 9, I'll call it the halfway point. Some ones that are left, as you mentioned, are some of the larger communities. You can imagine adding on a city of Hartford, city of West Bend, Village of Germantown, Village of Richfield, Village of Jackson, Village of Slinger. A little bit of larger communities versus a town of Wayne, town of Jackson. So just understand there's definitely a difference in staffing levels for those communities versus
Sure.
the ones we've done so far. So even so, we're at halfway. It's not like half of the staff that we would need to complete the rest of the work for the other municipalities.
I mean, would it work better if we staggered it a little bit more, or is that an option, or is it still gonna create the same problem? Cause I'm assuming the upfront stuff is the busy time, then once you get it established, it's a maintenance thing and may not require as many hours for the maintenance part.
For some of the smaller ones, yes, but we've noticed with some of the larger, like Village of Kewaskum right now, which is one of our bigger ones, they do still require us to support them a little more. They have more
Okay.
going on, so I think that would be the case with the other larger ones as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, and just to note, with these larger municipalities that have police departments with multiple, officers, it does require more work.
Yep.
I mean, I think if we just look at our sheriff's office, all the technology that we have and the squads and the body cams and all that, that is extra work that we absorb with these municipalities. So the village hall may be little, but the PD usually has more requests coming
Gotcha.
in.
Well, it's interesting because like I said, this is new to everybody, right? So as we get into this, we're gonna have these glitches from time to time. So we have to budget accordingly that.
Right, but I do agree with you on your, staggering method. Maybe if we look at it, like a Germantown and a Richfield, okay, hey, that's good for 26, maybe 27. And then let's look at, a Jackson and then a Hartford and so on,
Sure.
absolutely.
Okay, sounds good.
Yeah.
Oh,
I,
Ms.
it-
Ball?
just in there, it says, the service will be funded within the county's shared revenue grant program. Is there ever a concern that you're taking on all this, it's gonna use up that grant program and, shared revenue grant, and we're not gonna have the finances? You know what I'm saying? I mean, does that make sense? Cause their fund has gotta be, it says, county shared revenue grant program. If we bring on more, it's gonna cost us more and more people. Is there a concern there that we could use that grant fund up?
Yes.
Yes.
Did I answer that for you?
There's no simple answer, yes. If
Yeah.
you want a better answer, Aaron Dahl is online, who handles our budget team, and he might be able to
Oh,
give a
look,
little better flavor for an
You're
answer.
smiling, Aaron. Is that a good news?
Hey, everyone. Um, Scott's correct. I mean, when we talk about this shared revenue grant program, we're not talking about like grant revenue that we get or anything like that. We're really talking about the sales tax and some of the other stuff that we've allocated to assisting our municipalities in shared services, right? So for us to fund road work from the highway shop for municipalities, we had to put sales tax in that budget, right? So, the concern certainly is, right? We don't have additional revenue to kind of continue to dedicate at the clip that we were going, right, in 22 and 23. And so now we've got to be a little bit more deliberate and a little bit more phased in, as you were referencing, about how we do these things. So your concern is spot on, and we share it.
So then that's a conversation we have to have with the county executive, right?
I mean,
I would say during this budget conversation, that's, yes.
Yes.
would we ever work into the agreement charging the counties, the small municipalities that we're servicing, a small fee for these services to help fund that? I don't know if that makes sense.
Well, kind of defeats the purpose of.
Yeah. the
Yeah,
shared
I mean, but if
revenue.
we, I mean, at one point, the fund is gone. How do we continue to fund these programs and bring these people on? There's 10 more municipalities out there that might come on. That fund is gone. How do we fund that fund?
You have to,
Right, it is,
you have to bring more money in to do that, right? We all know what
Where
that
are you gonna
means.
get that from?
Well, That's
It
why I
is,
say it's a conversation to have with the county executive.
right, it's not just, as Aaron Dahl pointed out, it's not just this program with a sales tax, right? It's a road project, shared planner, shared GIS. So it's a multi-level, multi-cabinet member issue that's going on. So, but it is the sales tax money that's funding most of that, if not all of that. So it's really part of the sales tax conversation.
This is one of my fears from the beginning. I knew we'd get to this point. I just didn't know how fast it would get to there. That we'd have to think about, okay, how serious do we want to get and how far do we want to go? Right?
Right.
And that is part of our conversation. So, all right, I think we beat this dead horse here. Any other questions? Seeing none, all approved, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? That motion carries. Good to go. Thank you, guys. Okay, now number 5, we're going back up to B, transit ridership report. And it looks like, there we go. Okay. Looks like the numbers bounced up a little bit, huh? For July.
Oh, yep, that's correct.
Yeah. Good to see. Is there any presentation you wanted to give or just, you just want to take questions?
You will notice that the fares are down. That just happens to be, with the cycle, agencies order fares. You'll see in like January and February, there's kind of a dip there, and then so next month you'll see kind of a rise there. That's similar to January and February. So that's why fares look significantly down in July. It was just a timing of orders.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay. Any other questions on the ridership report? Seeing none, we can move on to the next item. Let's see, I'm losing sight here. In H, set 2026 service hours for the shared ride taxi. Do we need a motion and a second for that, or is that just a discussion? Motion? Thank you. Got a motion from Supervisor Hartwig, second from Supervisor Vispalek.
Okay, yeah, sure. So the shared ride taxi program provides door-to-door transportation assistance in Washington County through a third-party provider. The contract is billed on a per service hour basis, allowing multiple vehicles to operate at once. The current maximum annual service level is set at 58,000 hours. That's also used for budget planning and grant applications. So we're proposing to change the maximum authorized hours beginning in 2026. This adjustment would reduce the planned service level from 58,000 hours to 53,000 hours, aligning with the actual usage observed in 2024 and projected for 25. So in 24, the shared ride taxi program delivered approximately 52,500 service hours, and current ridership projections for 25 are similar to 24. So this change would just align with the service levels and actual usage. Let's see. And so according to the fare increase and service reduction policy, service reduction of less than 10% is considered a minor service change. And so the proposed adjustment reduces the hours by only 5,000, which is just a 8.6% decrease. Earlier this month, we issued a public notice on our website as well as flyers in the taxi. It included instructions for submitting written or emailed comments. We did not receive any comments from the public. The attachments are the monthly statistical report that's from last month, which includes the 24 service hours, as well as current June, as of June 2025 ridership. And then attachment B is the fare increase and service reduction policy. And Exhibit C is the flyer we put in the taxis and on our website.
Now, if you can run me through the process here. So we voted on committee. Does it then go to the full board, or is this is just a reduction? So it just goes through committee. And again, you're aligning to what we're actually using. So we're not really cutting services per se, other than our top allowance.
Yes, that is correct. We're in 2024, 2023, we only used 52,500 or so of those service hours. We're tracking again for about 53,000 this year. And so we're looking at lining, making sure everything lines up with that going into the budget season as well.
Okay.
So there shouldn't be an impact in service with this.
Yeah.
So based on our current ridership trends that this committee has been looking at for several years. So even though 1 month, I mean, we went up several rides this month.
Sure.
So, I mean, it ebbs and flows, but not a great increase.
We'll see what happens, right? And this is gonna be effective for a 2-year budget cycle then? Or are we just doing it 1 year at a time?
Well, it'll be in effect starting January 1 for 2026.
2026.
And then if this body decides to make any change up or down, then that would come back to you as a decision point. So this would be in effect, it could be in effect for 3 years, 5 years, 10 years, until this committee looks at it and decides again.
But you're basing our 2-year cycle on these hours.
We'll be, when you see the budget later on and the budget coming up, if you approve this today.
Mhm.
And all the budget stuff you'll see from here on out will be shown as 53,000 hours
Yep.
and not 58 to align that.
Okay.
That's why we'd like this agenda item first before we talk about the budget later on.
Yep,
They're
perfect.
two separate issues.
Yep, understood. Any other questions? Seeing none, all approved, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Okay, so that was 6. Now we gotta go to 7. Budget discussion, shared ride taxi. Now we
I
gotta,
don't know, Aaron, did you want to tee these up or do you want me to tee this up?
Sure, I can just kind of touch on the purpose of these, right? So every standing committee this month is hearing at least one, maybe a couple budget items. Shared ride taxi and the bridge and culvert aid being the ones for public works. I think we've had our budget meetings in August, and a number of important public policy items have kind of risen to the top, whether it's public policy changes, whether it's RFPs that are out that could change the mix and the funding needs. So we just wanted to take these to standing committee, these larger issues ahead of time, so that you can hear a little bit about them and then have a chance to kind of think and digest prior to next month, when you'll hear and talk about the actual budgets that are in here. And so, this is your opportunity to kind of provide your input, ask questions, and then use that to kind of think about for the next month. So that's all I wanted to share, but I did want to make sure that I'm here to listen and be able to answer any questions if you've got them. So with that, I'd kick it off to Scott and Charlie.
Scott, you have any more to add to that?
Yes, in the current budget packet that we're looking at that went before the board chair and the committee chair here, we were looking at fully funding the shared ride taxi service for the next 2-year cycle based on now the 53,000 hours. This is a service that's increased in cost over last year. We are anticipating that to go up again in 26 that you're looking forward to. So Charlie, I have a spreadsheet that he's going to share with you. We'll try not to get lost too much in the numbers, but just wanted to share what that potential budget would look like. One of the more important things is that transit, as you know, is heavily subsidized by the state and federal government. But on top of that, we did receive ARPA funds that will be running out in this next budget cycle. We had a trust fund of funding that will be running out in the next budget cycle or thereabouts, as well as we had some a trust fund for vehicle purchases will also run out in the next budget cycle. And so what you'll see here is our next budget cycle, but I want to make sure you fully understand that. And we did share this with the executive and the budget team that there'll be another pinch point, if you will, in the next budget cycle, because a lot of the fixes that you see now, just to get down to a $400,000 level versus the previous 310,000, becomes substantially higher in the out years. Now, not to say we can't do some modifications to the hours of service, the hours that we're purchasing, fares, all kind of stuff, but just kind of pointing out that right now we're looking at some modifications to our budget to actually fully fund that shared ride taxi over the next 2-year cycle. With that, I'll share, Charlie will share his screen, which has a nice spreadsheet he put together and shared with the budget team as well. And he'll have to zoom that in a little bit to make sure that we can all see the numbers up there. But what he's got in front of you is our projected 26 and 27 budget, and kind of showing you where 25 laid in. So you'll see the column E in the middle there. Can you go a little bit larger, maybe, Charlie? Yeah, maybe something like that. And I'll let Charlie kind of roll through the spreadsheet for you.
Okay. Also, keep in mind, we are currently going through an RFP process for the shared ride taxi. So the contract rate is currently unknown. We did our best estimations based off of comparable shared ride taxi proposals done recently. So we're currently reviewing, but that we don't have the price for the next 2 years right now. So this is a placeholder price until we have the actual price for the contract. So this could change after that.
What if
That-
we have a shock and awe? Like, what if the budget's coming high? You know, what would be our next move? You
We
know,
will bring that to you in September if we have that. So right now, so we don't have the numbers per se to share with you today. So again, this is kind of our best guess. If you look at that was $40, now 45, so roughly a 10% increase is what we're kind of estimating.
Okay.
Again, based on what other similar services are seeing out there in the public. So that's our best guess. And if we have an oh my moment, we will bring that back to you next month.
fair enough.
Okay, so in here we have the biggest expense, which is the oh wait, that's down here. Okay, intergovernmental, which covers the bigger expenses, the operating expenses and the contract, the grant funding, public charges for services. So that is fares. You'll see it's lower, but that is based off of it's based off of the June fare, the average fare per service hour. So with reducing hours, I calculated in a fare recovery change just to have a careful estimation for the fares. Other financing sources, let's see, that has to do with the transit fund there. Let's see. And then purchase services, as you can see, that's that'd be the shared ride taxi contract. Travel and training, part of the Wisconsin Public Transportation Association. Every once a year, they have a conference locally within the states. That's just that's been the budgeted amount. There's also a fee for being a part of that association. Let's see. Intergovernmental, that is fuel charges. So that's determined by Central Fuel. That's part of their budget process. So that's set for us. Outlay, that is the vehicles. So as Scott mentioned, that'll be part of the trust fund from the state that we have that covers the local share for vehicles. So that will run out, I believe, after, depending on vehicle prices and what the increases are over the years. They'll run out after 28. And then below here, we have the total levy impact of these changes. And this is with the 53,000 hours. And the biggest determining factor is the contract for the levy. So as you
So
can
that's
see,
quite a jump from
Right.
before.
Yes, if you look to the left right there, that was 310,000. Now we're looking at a $400,000 levy impact in 26 and a roughly $447,000 or $450,000 levy impact in 27. And so the next spreadsheet that Charlie is going to show you is kind of like, it will be when do the ARPA funds run out? What does the trust fund look like? And how much are we being extra subsidized for these next 2 years? Just to try to get to that $400,000 point each year in the budget cycle as best as we can.
Right. And I know this has been asked before, but we've also are keeping our eye out for any other grant opportunities or something that would help fund this, right?
Yes, so we were very interested in how the state budget went as well and
Sure.
how that funding is, and that definitely impacts our budget, whether they want to provide 51% of our expenses or 54%. So
Sure.
3% on a multi-million-dollar line item makes a big difference.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Any other questions on this or does anybody? Oh, I'm sorry. He still has more to go?
It's a little bit more.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. Don't want to rush you.
Oh, yeah, so you'll just see the use here in each year, none in 25 for the transit fund. So it's a remaining balances at the bottom, and then at remaining in 27, after transit fund is used in 27, there'll be no remaining ARPA or transit fund balances. but there will be trust fund balance for 28 for vehicles. But currently the cushion for 27 is 138,000 of the transit fund. So that will be revealed in 28 as an increase.
So it's running out.
If you look at the top peach line, that's ARPA. So just in 2025, you can see we're using, is that 257,000? That one? Is it? And then the next one to the right of it is 222,000 in 26. So that's what we're talking about, that we talk about the next budget cycle in 28. As Charlie mentioned, a lot of those other funds like that, and then the trust fund, which is the far bottom, which is under 180,000, that goes away as well. So we're utilizing all the funds now. And ARPA we have to use by the first quarter of 2027. So that one we just can't keep and hold on and use, in perpetuity. But we are looking at to get into our budget as close as we can to that $400,000 amount, utilizing ARPA funds, the trust fund balance, and the balance for the vehicles as well. So just pointing out there, by doing that in the next 2 years, those silver bullets are gone in 28-29 budget cycle.
Something we have to keep in mind.
At a tune of around 200,000 a year if you look at the numbers, plus if the service goes up in cost. So just want to make sure we're aware of that going forward.
I think we're aware. Thank you. Anybody else have anything to add? If not, we can move on to the culvert and bridge aid. Scott, you got the lead on this one.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chairman. Just to give you a little history, I know that the committee and the board has seen the culvert and bridge aid. It kind of resurrected itself a little more use since 2018. So I know the current members that are here have seen these resolutions go through quite often at the Public Works Committee as well as the county board. And so what we're looking at this year is just like we did 2 years ago. We reached out to local municipalities to see what their potential need would be for culvert and bridge aid going forward in a 2-year budget cycle. Again, what that bridge aid is, it's a separate fund, a separate tax levy amount, and that goes into a separate fund, and that can only be used by the towns. It's taxed on the towns, used for the towns for culverts and bridges over 3 feet in diameter and less than 20 feet long or span for a bridge. And so that the towns would petition the county for that money, and then generally speaking, if the county has the funds available, would do that. The last several budgets, you might recall, we set aside $100,000 in each of the years. The last 2 budget cycles, which was a 2-year budget, and then 1 year before that, we ran out of funds to pay the ones that actually had all the requests going forward. So what we did by looking at, and there was a nice spreadsheet as well, and I will not run through it line by line for you today, of all the requests that came through. And I want to say these are requests; these are not officially petitions yet. And there's a distinction between that. What it was, I had a lunch with another county highway commissioner early this week, and he had informed me about some shells in the state language. I went and contacted the county attorney's office, and I appreciate them looking at it so quickly. If a town, my reading of it, and then certainly the county attorney can pine in on this at some point in the future, if a town provides the county a petition, then the county is required by a shall in the state statute that we shall then levy the tax on the locals to actually pay that off. And so what I thought, because I haven't read the statute probably since 2018, since we started this up again, I didn't have it memorized that closely. Thought that maybe we could either keep it at $100,000 and limit what we do, or potentially decrease it if we want it down to 50 or 0 or whatever that may be. But right now, the interpretation that the county attorney is currently giving us is that no, if they do the petition, the county has to do that levy going forward. And I would assume that of the dozen or so that you see on here, that if I went and talked to those towns and said, well, do you want to do the petition now? I'm sure most of them would gladly do the petition. We actually have 2 petitions in our hands already. Barton, which you just saw, which we don't have funds to pay for, as well as the town of Addison did already give us that petition. So so we're looking at is to make the committee aware that the requested need went from 100,000 a year on average up now to 225,000 is a current requested amount, which doesn't, if you look at the spreadsheet, doesn't quite cover it. So there might be some wiggle room in there. There might also be another town that just hasn't had a recent issue on one of their roadways with the recent flooding that may be requesting some additional funds that are not shown in the spreadsheet that you have in front of you today. So we'll do is want to bring this out to your attention to make sure, as Aaron Dahl pointed out, that you're aware of this, which is a substantial increase, going from 100,000 to 125,000. You know what that does to this person's tax bill for that line item? Well, it more than doubles it, right? Depending on their assessment and all that other kind of stuff, if they're reassessed and stuff. So just want to make sure that this is a significant change if it does go to county board through Public Works County Board of changing it from 100,000 to the 225 or whatever number that you do so choose to put into the budget at there. So with that, I did earlier this week, I did make contact with by email that the town chairs that are out there to make sure that they're aware that this was on this particular agenda today, so they can potentially voice their concerns. And it sounds like at least one town has sent an email to the chair here today. And I haven't checked my email since I've been here, so I might have it in my inbox as well, in support of the increase into the county culvert and bridge aid program. So with that, I'd certainly be certainly able to answer any questions and certainly bring the spreadsheet up onto the screen that you see. But just want to point out that this would be quite an increase in the tax levy amounts on those residents that live inside townships within Washington County.
Is it possible for Aaron to share with the committee that we talked about in the budget as far as how much per thousand that adds to the tax? Wasn't it 8 cents or? Aaron, do you remember our discussion on that? And you gave us a kind of a calculation.
Yes. Let me just pull that up here quickly. So as Scott mentioned, this is we set the tax levy, and that gets levied on only those municipalities that are in towns, right? Only towns. Those
So,
properties get
City
levied.
West Bend, not Germantown, right?
Or
Hartford.
Correct.
give a shit about.
Only Hartford.
The current bridge aid tax levy is approximately 1 penny per thousand. So it's a very low rate, right? And with equalized values are increasing, so we would expect that rate to change somewhat. But in doubling it, between doubling the levy amount, or more than doubling if it's a $225,000 increase, offset by an increase in equalized value, I would expect that tax rate to remain similar. Although we need to run that final calculation. The new equalized value numbers came out last Friday. I just haven't updated and ran a new calculation on it.
So in other words, instead of being 2 cents, actual doubling, it might come down a little bit because of the growth in those townships, and you got to add all the value increases and stuff. So
Yeah, you're still.
understood. You're still paying for it. Absolutely.
That's
But
correct.
I am right. I just think this is an unfortunate need at this point because there's so much road work going on. Well, that's my opinion anyway. Supervisor McCulloch.
So Scott, I have a question. In the past when I've seen these, you think of a culvert and like some of these on the 50% of cost, $10,000, $24,000. You look at it and you're like, okay, but some of these projects, Jackson, Pleasant Valley Road Bridge, $137,500. That's half of the cost for the culvert. I mean, that for a culvert, that just seems like
So that one in particular is a bridge, not a culvert. And so that
it's a bridge.
certainly can go through these individually. So what we've been very fortunate in Washington County and the state of Wisconsin as well. You might recall with the bill funding that passed, a lot of the bridges and a lot of the bridges that were constructed recently and on this list got a lot of federal funding instead of just being an 80-20 split, 80 federal government, 20% local. That 20% local then split half and half. The federal government ended up paying 100% of the bridge construction. So that's why you see a lot of these are at that $10,000 amount, which is basically paying the towns for any right-of-way acquisition, project management, stuff like that. So you'll see like the J Road Bridge, Town Line Road Bridge, all that stuff. They're so low because they're getting that high amount of federal aid coming through. The town of Jackson Bridge was unfortunately hit by a driver and damaged, and their insurance didn't cover the cost to actually fix the bridge. And so that then is being borne by the town. The town has been working very hard over the last several months plus to try to get any other funding sources to do that besides this fund. So I commend the town for doing that. I've been working with the town. Just unfortunately, there's not a lot of funding out there for that particular.
How about Town of Barton?
Sure. The Town of Barton Lighthouse Lane Bridge. That one, because on Lighthouse Lane, you'll love this because it's only the government can do this. It's not considered a local road. It's considered a collector road. So that one, instead of being paid for at 100% like the others, and like the Barton's Bridge on Woodford Drive, that one goes back to the 80-20 split again. And that one, if you're not familiar with that bridge, it's a longer bridge. Typically speaking, a town bridge is right around that 20 to 30 foot, give or take. This one happens to be over the Milwaukee River. And so it's a lot longer bridge, which means it's a lot more expensive bridge. It's also on a curve of a roadway. So there's a little bit of realignment going on too. So that made that one more expensive. So if this was Washington County doing this, my cost on like the County A bridge for our 20% is right around $500,000 for that longer bridge. So trust me, if the town of Barton doesn't want to spend $130,000 either for their half, but they also don't want to spend the close to, I'm not gonna do the math in my head, whatever, $1.3 million that bridge is going to cost. So again, heavily federally subsidized through that bridge. So that's why you see some larger ones on here as particular, but most of the other ones were very fortunate that the state decided to, and the state could have just said, we're going to keep it at 80-20 and pocket the money or make the money last longer. But they realized that a lot of towns are in that position. They said, local roads, we're going to pay it 100%. If you're a collector, which is a larger volume roadway, typically a county highway, just unfortunately for the town of Barton, that's kind of the northern route around West Bend. It's got a lot of traffic on it. It just didn't qualify. So bad news for them and their town residents, but that's the rules that we have to live by.
Thanks.
I guess I forgot to ask you in the last item as well, Scott, are you just looking for a thumbs up or?
This is just really some knowledge and discussion because it's what we're doing here, and it's not just this committee that's looking at this item, but other committees are looking at other items too. I know right after this is land use is looking at sewer pack, public safety is looking at items, and human services is looking at items too. To put this stuff on your radar of, you're gonna have to start making some hard choices here at this budget at some point.
Sure.
And decision points of, all right, bridge aid, shared ride taxi, sewer pack, where are your priorities going to lie? And we want to make sure we're getting that into your hands right now and not surprising you in September going, all right, do you want to cut this? Do you want to add this? How's that going to work? We don't have funding to do all of it. And so we're trying to get that in and saying, okay, what is some of your priorities going forward? And that's why we want to try to get these two items in front of you, because shared ride taxi is a bigger ticket item, right? Going up 90,000 and knowing what's coming down the road is a big ticket item. And do you want to do that, or do you want to do something else with that service? And right now we're looking at, let's keep it fully funded for the next 2 years. Same thing with this funding for road and bridge aid, culvert and bridge aid going, right? If we jump it up to the 225, and we might have to anyway by state statute, but when I didn't know this 2 weeks ago was, could we kept it at 100,000, right? Or is that a good number enough and going that good enough? And well, again, we'll research that a little bit better for you for next month to see if it's a shall like it is in the code. You don't have much of a choice. But when we brought this forward to the budget team, I mistakenly thought that there was some movement in there. And again, another county highway commissioner, maybe you should go back and reread the statute. And I don't know, there's a lot of wiggle room there, but we'll look at it. But that's what's coming for you, is to see, all right, there's some major decision points coming to this board, committee and board over the next several months to prepare you for that. And if Aaron Dahl wants to explain it a little bit better, but that's how.
Yeah, no, Scott, I think Scott did a great job. The only thing I would add is yeah, when you get this budget next month, you know, there are things that you will see in there, and there are things that maybe not in there. But at least we've brought those issues to you and hopefully made you aware of some of the nuance within those public policy points. So that when we get to the budget meeting next month, and if something's in there, you know, you can ask questions about, now, you know, we talked about this last month, what part of this is in there, and, you know, where did the RFP come back, or whatever it is, right? So that's the purpose of these.
Chairman or Doug, whichever one was first. Chairman Schleif?
I'm sitting here next to the chairman of the town of Farmington, and we know we've lost a bridge again on Trading Post Trail or Trading Post Road.
Indian lore.
Yeah, so how does that impact this? Will that not happen in 2 years, or are we gonna maybe get emergency funds? No idea.
I will certainly kick that off, that answer. I had the opportunity, and I appreciate that Chair Newman had me out at the bridge this morning with a contractor to look at it. Certainly, I would say that the town is going to look at funding outside of this source first with FEMA, maybe with Wisconsin Emergency Management as well. So we'll be looking at that. Those particular programs are also not overnight. It's not a snap your fingers and it happens. So there would be a little bit of time associated with those. I would imagine that at some point, if those are exhausted, as well as, unfortunately, that structure is under 20 feet. So that same program that Barton was using, as well as a lot of the other towns, that 80-20 split or 100% probably is not eligible. Again, but we're going to explore to see, what if we just lengthen that bridge out from 18 to 20? You know, so stuff like that we'll be working on with the town on that, and the town chairman can certainly speak more to that. But my guess is if all those other avenues fail, my understanding would be they would probably come right back to the county board and petition for aid for that particular structure as well. And if they're on the hook for that alone, then that dollar amount is probably $150,000 plus or minus, maybe 200. So just putting that out there, if that's on top of this, right? Again, and the budget number you saw in here is just the ones that we know about today. There is no additional, as you saw, even the second year, it's not, you know, it's not even fully funded according to the requests that came in for better numbers and stuff. So there isn't like an extra 100,000 sitting in this fund. That's not what we're proposing. But if that's your purview, you certainly have that ability to go above my recommendation if you'd like. But that's what we're looking at right now. And again, living within our means of not just putting money aside for a rainy day or a flood event. That's one of the things that this committee has to look at and decide, going, all right, if we have another one of those events, if something else happens, the money's kind of spoken for. You just tell the town, yep, we'll maybe pay you back in 2 years, you know, when the next budget cycle comes, stuff like that. So again, we're not putting money aside. If you saw the numbers, we're not setting money aside for a rainy day on this at all. It's truly, these are projects we know are coming, and trying to fund those and those alone.
And again, this is a safety issue like we discussed before, right? I mean, these things can fail if we don't take care of them when needed. And you didn't even mention the road in Germantown that's been on the news. It looked like a culvert down there that washed out. Now, I don't think the culvert's gone, and it may not need replacing.
It is.
But they have to rebuild the road.
The other side of that, that's a village. So the village doesn't qualify for this fund. So,
Gotcha.
So that's one of the reasons why the same thing would have happened in the city of Hartford, city of West Bend,
Sure.
any other village that's not eligible. That's why I didn't mention it, because they're
they're
not eligible for this particular fund.
Okay, thanks for clarifying that. I'm sorry, Supervisor Newman. I forgot about you back there.
That's all right, thanks. I think Scott summed it up pretty well, that this funding source is a last resort for the towns. Every other option is explored. It's unfortunate some of these bridges don't meet the standards for the state or federal funding, I guess that being said, this is an important program for the towns. I'll say it's a tool in the toolbox that the towns do not have. They cannot tax for this. And I'll reiterate who pays the tax uses the tax. If you're in the city or a village, you're not paying that tax. Basically, it's the county collecting it on behalf of the towns and distribute it and sharing it to those towns. So it's the townspeople paying for their own improvements, just facilitated through the county collecting that tax. The levy limits at the towns are incredibly tight, that this program is vitally important to these infrastructure projects. So, with a 2-year budget cycle, it makes it even more difficult to predict what's going to happen. When is that bridge going to get a hole in it? That's not annually inspected through or biannually inspected through the state program. So, or a flood event, that causes some damage. So the 2-year budget cycle creates, additional, I guess, future planning issues with how much to budget versus the annual one. I know our county executive wants to remain as flat levy as we can in the county. So by increasing this, and you can see the increase just on Aaron's, estimate, it's a very minimal impact to the towns and the levy, or I guess the tax levy in general. But that being said, I don't want to see this increase on the back of maybe our highway department losing the funds to keep a flat rate all around. Not, if you're following what I'm saying, not the rate on this should not be reflected in the county highways budget. But I will say that I think this is a very, very important program. And if the rest of the town's chairs and business people were here as well, they would tell you the same thing, because you can see based on the list how important that is. Again, it's that tool that the towns do not have other than this program. So I guess that's all I had. Thank you.
Thank you. And if I can add to that, I represent 3 townships and I know they're all screaming. They like this fund as well, so it's important to me too. So, are any other discussions or anything else anybody wants to hear or add to the discussion? Seeing none, then we can move on to the last item, which is lead lateral update. Scott, you got the floor again.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chair. Just want to provide you, or try to do this quarterly, at least through the summer months while the work is actually being done. Pleased to announce that several more lead laterals have been completely replaced in Washington County. You'll notice that in the city of Hartford, they have replaced 5.
Oh, something went out.
Check. It's okay. Keep going. I'll fire it away. All right.
Okay.
So they were able to replace 5 public side laterals on 5th, 6th, and Wisconsin streets in the city of Hartford. So they're moving right along. The village of Slinger is doing them more piecemeal when the contractor has some time, but they were able to do 3 private side lead laterals. Again, the village of Slinger only has private side in the village of Slinger left, so they're knocking theirs out. They had 20 total, so they've got several of those completed. And then the city of West Bend, happy to announce that obviously they've got 11 public side lead laterals and 64, which is a great number. Private side lead laterals completed on Summit, Highland Drive, as well as portions of 7th and 8th Avenues that had projects done in recent years. So really happy to announce that is going forward. Now to piggyback a little bit on our previous conversation of how do we keep this project going, going forward into the future. You might recall that the current $3 million plus or minus that was used for this program was ARPA funds, which we all know ARPA funds have a lifespan, they're going away. We're looking at the county did the borrowing, again, another $3 million for the lead lateral services going forward. But at the bottom of that cost, you can kind of tell what the cost would be total of a program. Again, that's assuming today's dollars. I want to make sure I'm have a program that lasts 8 to 10 years, and to say that we're going to keep paying the 5,000, 15,000, and the private side is only going to cost 5,000 over 10 years. I think we all understand this from the project, and those costs could potentially go up. So, but I didn't want to put an inflation factor, and I wanted to make sure you're seeing today's dollars would be roughly $15 million to complete the lead laterals in the Washington County, the city of Hartford, city of West Bend. Aaron Dahl, who I think has left now, is working on us with looking at possible low interest loans through the state of Wisconsin. They're a bit longer and complicated. You actually got to do a pre-application and then an application in October, and then your projects are about 2 to 3 years out. So as you can imagine, so we'll be starting to work with the city of Hartford, city of West Bend to see if those are options for us as well. And then we certainly can work on who's paying a low interest loan and what that's looking like versus the county using sales tax or borrowing money as well. So we are looking at other options to potentially fund these, just like we talked about a little bit earlier. But I just want to point that out there, that for that next budget cycle and that 28 and 29, we'll be looking at to see if we can work on some other funding sources as well that are outside of sales tax or county borrowing the funds. But just want to let you know how much the impact you've had already into these communities, as well as the dollar amounts going forward that would be needed to actually complete these projects. And the federal government did put a deadline on these of 2034, I believe it is, to get them gone. But again, their funding sources don't match up well with our communities right now. And we're also very hopeful that some of those policies that were put in place by the previous administration at the federal level will be changed. But they're working on things, but they haven't been changed yet. So we're hopeful, but again, we'll be working our way through that process as well to see if there's a way to utilize some of those funds. But currently we're not eligible, but things could change. But a lot of that funding went right from the federal government down to the state government, and so the state government had a lot of the same and similar policies and still does in place. So it is a web of information that we're trying to navigate. But trust me, with Aaron Dahl on my side, we'll get through that as best we can. And trust me that if we can find another funding source and a better funding source, we will by all means look at that as an option.
Sounds good. Any questions? No. Seeing none. Our next meeting date is September 18th, 2025. This meeting is adjourned.